Hi, this is Jamie with Coastal Business Supplies. We are continuing on with our 4-part series going over the Brother ScanNCut. So this is part 2. And we will be going over the standalone using heat transfer paper right after this. And we're back. So today we are going to do a standalone with heat transfer paper. So again, this is video 2 in the series that we have for the Brother ScanNCut. So on the first series, if you missed that one, go check that out. That's going to be an overview on the features of the cutter, kind of going over all the feature settings, things of that nature. So let's go get started. Okay, so now we're going to get ready to scan our heat transfer paper. We also have our EasySubli that we're going to work with today as well. So let's get started on that. So we do have our inkjet transfer paper, our 3G jet opaque. We are going to use our scan mat. Again, in the overview, we talked about the difference between the scan mat and the cutting mat. So first, you're going to scan this in using a scan mat. It is a bit different on how it scans in. It's more detailed, kind of picks up a bit more just because of the flat background. Also protects your image when it goes through. And then you have your cutting mat. So this is what you're going to use to cut your image. So you are going to kind of take your heat transfer paper from one to the other. But we will go into the cutting mat after we do this part. So let's put this in there. So there is a little flap on here, so you will lift this up and place it appropriately. And then for this, it is 12 by 12. So the Brother only does up to 12 by 12 unless you do have the roll feeder. So the roll feeder allows you to go up to 6 feet long. So this, again, we're just using this today as a standard 12 by 12. So both mats will be 12 by 12 so you know your area. So once we have placed that appropriately, we're going to put this in a straight line so it doesn't kind of go askew. We are going to lock into place. We're going to press our mat button first to feed it through. Again, when working with this machine, you do want enough room in the back, so make sure you do position it appropriately in your shot, because once you do scan it through, it's going to go all the way through and then all the way back. So make sure you do have enough room. We're going to press on the scan button. We're going to do a scan to cut data. Start. This is just going to let you know your scan area is 12 by 12. You can use your settings to change that. You'll press start. Again, this screen pops up. This is your scanner lever. So on the side, you do have your lever 1 and lever 2. Lever 1 is going to be for your thin material, so such as your easy weed stretch, standard cardstock, standard paper, anything craft related that you want to work with that's thin material. Lever 2 is going to be your thicker material, so that's going to be your glitter flake, heat transfer paper using the mats, and then if you have thicker cardstock, anything up to 3 millimeters is where you're really going to be at there. So we're just going to press start because it's in the 2 position, so that's fine for this. Again, it's going to scan it, so it does say scanning on the screen. It kind of lets you know where you're at in your steps. It's going to go all the way to the back here, and it's going to bring it forward. And then you will see the image on your screen. So here is your image. So scan it perfectly. We are going to take our arrows. We are going to place them appropriately so they are in line with what we need. We don't need a bigger area. We're going to press OK. It's going to recognize it, so it's going to kind of take it, resize it, things of that nature. And then on the next screen, we're going to be able to edit it a little bit. Okay, so there's 2 features here. One, to do just the shape. So we really only want the shape today. So it says processing, but if you want to do more detail, so on this design it has wording, it has the dog, it has another circle. So if you want to kind of get all in there, you can split those, and so that would be the second option. So again, it's going to process, it highlights it, so it highlights exactly what is going to take place and what it's going to cut. So again, we're just going to do a standard circle, so we are going to press the first one to make sure it all connects. You do have your color here. As I was saying in the overview video, which is video number 1, you can bump up your colors or you can reduce the colors. We have it at a standard 5, so kind of right there in the middle. We have found that when working with darker colors, it's a bit easier for the machine to kind of pick it up and do the proper cut versus your pastel colors. But this helps it along the way. So if you do want to use those lighter colors, please do, of course. we just have found that, you know, maybe bump up the color a little bit to help it out. So we're gonna press OK here. Ignore object size. This is just telling you, you know, it's 12 by 12 on the mat. You can, you know, resize that though. We don't need to. We know our image is 8.5 by 11. It's perfect on the screen. And then you have your smoothing line down here. You can turn it off, low, medium, high. I'm going to put it on high. It's just how much it cuts, so it's not jagged. And so it does preview. Again, it lets you know what's going on the screen. So just recognize it. It's going to change it a little bit. And then once it does come up, there's going to be your preview box here so you can see what it did. So that's a really great feature about this. It kind of keeps you along the way. Or you can cancel it, of course, if need be. So here's our image again. It shows a little bit of a smoother line around. So that's gonna be our circle. We're just going to press OK. We're going to press OK again. It's going to process. We're going to choose what happens to it. So we want to send it to our cutter because we're going to do a cut. You can send it to your computer or you can send it via USB. So again, with this, you do have USB connectivity, or you can do it wirelessly, which is really big. And then we're going to press the cutter. We will be going over the different options for USB or the wireless in another series, another video that we're going to be doing. So it's saved, it gives you the file name so you can go look at it. We're going to press OK. We're going to, my shift, that's fine. So it takes it out, so you don't want to pull it out. That could damage the mat, that could damage the rollers. So you really just want to be careful with that. Always press the mat buttons to load and unload. So now that we're done with this, we're going to set this to the side. We're going to get our image out of here and we're going to put on our mat. We're just going to press the back button on these. We don't need it because it's already in there. So next step is to put on our mat. I always keep this film on the mat because of your environment. You know, debris can get on it, anything can really get on this. So to protect it, I always leave the film that comes with this on it. But you are going to place your image appropriately on the mat. Kind of smooth it over, make sure it's nice and good on there. Again, these do get dirty over time, so good accessory, I guess, to use would be you can use a baby wipe or any type of wipe that's not going to, you know, destroy the mat, or you can use warm water. Just give it a little nice rub with warm water, because again, some of the times that debris just from your environment or the paper, or if something gets stuck, can be on there. So eventually you will have to get a new mat over time, but you can, you know, do things to protect it. So we're gonna get started with this. Again, we're gonna load our mat. Oh, okay, so again, you're gonna, so it's just initializing it, saying it's there. We're going to hit retrieve data. We're going to go to our cutter because that's where we saved it to. So if you do save it to, you know, your computer, or if you do the wireless, check those first. So make sure you know what you're saving to. But we again save this to our cutter. Here's our file name. It's the last one that's on there, and you can delete. We have a few in here that we've saved. You can delete those over time. So don't think that you have to, you know, keep everything in there. You can delete them if you're not going to be using them. So there is options for that. So here, like I said, this is where you can delete. So there's a little trash can, so you can delete. We of course don't want to delete that. But here's a lot of other editing tools in here. So you can add a shape. So you can go to retrieve data, or you can go to your pattern. So your patterns has the built-in designs that this cutter comes with. It comes with a wide range of words, shapes, just patterns in general. So it does come with a lot of different designs. So you can also do that. And here's more shapes. You can do object edit, you can mirror it, you can draw on it, you can smooth it out more. Again, we've created this, so we're not going to do that today, but there is a lot of features. So again, if you don't want to use some of the auto features that it has, or if you want to change your image or how it cuts or how it looks, there's a ton of features in here that allows you to do that. So that is pretty big. So just gonna press OK, because again, we're pretty much done with that. So we're gonna press please select. We're going to do cut. It's going to process again to cut. We're on an auto pressure, speed of 4, half cut on. So we did talk about the half cut in our first video that we did to the series. The half cut, we really recommend to be on versus off because it can dig into your mat and ruin your mat. This is meant to, protect your image, your mat. It's a really great feature that they have. It does the auto sense blade, so that's what it's for. Okay, so now we're in our cut screen to cut our image. So here we are going to do a test cut first. We always recommend to do a test cut just to make sure that it's going to cut right. You don't want to cut your whole image and then have to, of course, recut again. So I always recommend doing a test cut. For that, we're going to press test. You do have a few features, so you can just hit the little wrench here, cut speed, cut pressure, half cut. So all that you can change. Your half cut we do have on. As I stated before, it's really good for determining the thickness of the material, not going too deep. So if you turn it off, sometimes it can get into your mat and cause issues with your mat or your design. You don't want to do things over again. Okay, so now we are going to do our test cut. Just press start. So here that it's going into the thickness to see how thick the mat is and then how thick the material is. So to pick that up. Okay, so now it's finished with its cutting. So we're going to just check our test cut. So I am using a X-Acto knife here, but you can use a weeding tool as well. We do sell the weeding tools online at coastalbusiness.com. So it did cut our little triangle. So we're gonna set that off to the side. So since you did get a good cut on this, you're gonna wanna continue. If you didn't get a good cut, then you're going to want to test again. So to test again, you can just click test again and change some features. So you can change the shape of it if need be, the height of it, width of it, if you're having a hard time getting it off the mat, if it's too little, you can change those features. We're just gonna press OK here. You can move it, so if you don't want it right there, if you want it down here where it's easier, you can move it all the way to the bottom. Okay, so we're gonna press start and it's going to start. So again, it's going to do the auto sensor. It's gonna measure the mat and that's going to do the material to see the thickness of it. It does give you an estimated time. So right now we're at 1 minute. And it's so quiet. That's a huge feature as well, is that how quiet it is. It's very quiet. So it's easy to be in a room with other people. So finish cutting, we're gonna click OK. We're going to unload it. Again, always make sure you press the mat button to unload. Okay, so now we are going to remove our transfer. Okay. And there we go. So you can, at this point, just peel this off for heat transfer paper and place it on your shirt, or if you need to do a little bit more work to it, you can, obviously do that. We're now going to do our EasySubli just to see, this EasySubli works as well. Just another final to look at. And also I want to speak about this for a quick second. So this is a ScanNCut Design Cuts. It's a printable sticker starter kit. So you can use this with your inkjet printer. You can cut on the material and then you can do the same thing. So you can scan it through the system like we just did and then make little stickers. So that's pretty awesome as well. On here they have little display items. So, jars, little tins. But of course, as you know, stickers can kind of go on everything. So this is really neat as well. So let's do this one really fast, just to show you, more. There's more to this image here. It's on a different type of material. So again, we're gonna place under our mat. Again, this is a 12 by 12 mat. There is a 12 by 24 inch mat that you can use for the cutter if you do have large material. Again, this cutter goes up to 12 inches by 24 inches, or if you have the roll feeder, 6 feet long. With these mats that we have here, these are 12 by 12. So make sure that your image fits in the 12 by 12 area when you kind of scan it through your system. It's not going to pick up if it's a bigger print on a smaller mat. So again, this is a little off here, so I'm just going to make sure it's right on this edge so it picks it up. Okay. So again, this is a scan mat that we're going to be using. So we're going to exit out of here to go to our home screen. delete all patterns on that. We're gonna go to scan, scan to cut data. This is our scan to cut data. So our scan area says 12 by 12. Again, you can do 12 by 12, or you can do 12 by 6. So that's a smaller imprint. So 12 by 12. And we want the color on. So we're going to place our mat in here. We're gonna press our mat button. It's going to send it through, kind of load it. Doesn't send it through all the way on this one. Okay, so it says loading. It's gonna take it in a little bit, and it's gonna bring it right back out. So we're gonna hit start. Again, it's gonna go into the scanner lever. We're on position 2, so position 2 is okay for this type of media. We're gonna click start. It's going to scan it, so it's gonna send all the way through now, and it's gonna bring it all the way forward. Just kind of picking up all those details in the design. You have your preview here. So again, we're just going to use our arrows here to kind of shape it. I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. Okay. So again, it does recognizing, it's going to configure it to what I just set it at. And if you are like, oh, I did this on accident, obviously press cancel there. Let's go back to that screen. Okay, and then here, again, you have your first option where you can just cut around all of the images. So it gives you a little preview of what they're gonna look like. So yes, everything is kind of cutting around it. Or you can use where it does multiples in the image. So it'll cut around, the eyes that I have here. I have a giraffe, so the spots on there. Again, we're just going to do the whole group as they are. And then you can bump up the color. On this one, I do have some lighter shades, so actually I'm gonna bump it up all the way. So I'm gonna do a 20. So I'm gonna really put it out there. You can preview it. So again, it's gonna configure everything. It's saying recognizing on the screen. Of course, if you, again, made a mistake, hit cancel. Okay, so we've already saved it. So we're just going to hit okay. We know our file number. So we're gonna go back to the home. We're going to delete all patterns, press the scan mat again to get the mat out and unloaded. We're going to take it to our cutting mat. Okay, so you're gonna want to align your media to your mat. You really want it the same position you had it on your scan mat. Push it down, make sure you don't have any air bubbles. I just had an air bubble there, so make sure you push it all the way down so it's flat. Okay, and again, you're going to put this on your cutter. You're gonna put it pretty straight, unlock it to load it, lock it back in place. You're going to press the mat button to feed the mat through to recognize it, and then bring it back. Okay, so now we're going to click on Retrieve Data. We're going to click on the cutter. That's where we saved our design. We're going to find our design. So it is down here at the very bottom. Normally it is the last one, but I always just double check the numbers and of course the design before you want to go and print. Everything's there, so we're gonna press OK. On this one, I'm going to show you how you can edit a bit more. So we're gonna take out, let's take out the bird. So you wanna click on the bird and all of the features of the bird. You can hit the trash can. Okay, to select selected data. Okay, the trash can's out of there, or the bird's out of there. Let's see if I can get and the beak is now out of there as well. So we now title on the giraffe. So you can just choose, you click on it, you can choose if you want to delete something out of there that you don't want. So let's go ahead and do the giraffe as well, just to do something else. So now we have the cat and the owl and then the GIF that's on there. So we're gonna press OK. So that's a bit more of going into the editing features that you can do on this machine. So again, here we're going to press OK. We're going to press please select and cut. Okay, so we're going to do a test cut. Again, a test cut is always very important to do, just because you don't want to cut your image twice. So it's always best to do that test cut. Okay. Okay, so the test cut's done. So we're gonna remove the mat and then find where it's cut at. You can use an X-Acto knife like I am, or you can use a weeding tool. So on this one, it actually left a little bit, so I am going to cut a bit more, so it gets a nice, good cut. So we're gonna load our mat back into place, press the cut button, or the mat button to feed it through. Okay, so we are gonna do our test cut now. So we're going to actually move it to the bottom. So I've just kind of dragged it down to the bottom of the screen using our arrow functions here. And then you're gonna click start. So again, it's gonna sense the material, the mat, and then it's gonna sense the material. And it's gonna go all the way down here to do its test cut. Okay, so now we're just going to test this one to see if this one did a little bit of a thicker cut for us, and it did, so it came out nice and good. So we're just gonna set that to the side and we're going to send to cut. So we're gonna press the start on here. So again, it's going to censor, it's going to check the thickness of the mat, thickness of the material. Okay, so I'm going to weed away the excess here. So I'm gonna first remove it from my mat. Again, you can use an X-Acto knife or you can use a weeding tool that we do sell. All right. Just gonna weed away. And then you do see that you have the bird and the giraffe. Fortunately, can't see because of the video, but it does not have any cut lines on it. So you can see cut lines, you know, the cat and the owl and the present, but on these two, there's no cut lines. So see, it ignored it, but it's still there. So at this point, you can either, you know, send it through with something else, you know, other features, things of that nature. But just to let you know that you can delete items, you can edit a little bit more than needed. So this is our EasySubli material. You could also just remove all of the material if you needed. So you just do that from the corner, if I could get it, and then you just peel back. That's when you would mask it at that point. So again, this is a video going over the standalone features of heat transfer paper, and we also did our EasySubli material. We went into a little bit of the editing with taking out and deleting the actual designs and just doing, you know, certain aspects of the design. I'm going over the mats a little bit more. Again, your cutting area a little bit more. So in our next series, we are going to be going into actually using the computer and sending via USB and wirelessly, and then cutting with heat transfer vinyl. So stay tuned for that one. That's going to be on the next video in our 4-part series. Then the last video is going to be going over the Brother Canvas workspace. We're going to be doing a screen grab of that, kind of going over all the features. So as always, thank you for watching our video tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe.